Since the Great Depression, the world has faced massive economic and political transformations. But today, something feels different. We are no longer just witnessing slow growth or technological disruption. We are living through an era of fractured trade, rising geopolitical risks, and shifting cultural and political identities across the globe. So the question is, are we heading toward another great economic depression? Or is something far bigger unfolding behind the curtains? A change, a complete unraveling of the liberal globalist order. Let's begin. On February 24th, 2022, Russia launched its invasion of eastern Ukraine, what are called a special military operation. This came after multiple failed agreements and negotiations between the U.S.-led NATO bloc and Russia over the Russian-speaking territories in eastern Ukraine. But this was never just a regional conflict. It triggered a global energy crisis. Record-high oil prices, surging inflation, and massive disruptions to global supply chains. Europe was hit hard, facing a critical gas shortage, forcing a rapid shift away from Russian fossil fuels. Meanwhile, global markets struggled under rising energy costs and supply shortages. This moment marked the beginning of something new, a multipolar world order, a system where power is no longer dominated by one or two nations, but distributed among several competing centers. Then came the second major shock, October 7th, 2023. Following the Hamas attack on Israeli kibbutz communities, Israel launched a massive military operation in the Gaza Strip. The consequences? Global geopolitical shifts, a deepening humanitarian crisis, and rising economic volatility. The conflict derailed normalization efforts in the Middle East, widened ideological divides across the world, and most importantly, shook the legitimacy of the international liberal order, an order once defined by Western ideals of human rights, international law, and democratic accountability. And then, the final blow. As of mid-April 2026, a major conflict is unfolding between the United States and Iran. A U.S. naval blockade now restricts Iranian ports and maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical oil supply routes in the world. This follows a 40-day joint U.S.-Israel air campaign targeting Iranian nuclear and military sites. A brief ceasefire collapsed, and now the crisis has escalated into a full-scale maritime confrontation. The result? The Strait of Hormuz effectively blocked. Global oil prices surging past $100 per barrel. And Europe once again facing an energy crisis. Following the global oil crisis, the U.S., in an attempt to stabilize markets, allowed temporary Russian oil sales, a move that struck a major blow to Western sanctions against Russia. And the consequences? Russia profited massively, an estimated $150 million to $600 million extra per day in oil revenues. In fact, some reports suggest Russia has already recovered much of the cost of the Ukraine war through these energy gains. These wars didn't just reshape geopolitics. They reshaped economic systems. They altered the balance between liberal and socialist models across Europe and disrupted economies across the global south. Now, Western influence is weakening, and a multipolar world is rising. Europe, once an industrial powerhouse, faces a new reality: energy dependence, rising inflation, and declining competitiveness. Major companies like Volkswagen, Audi, and Frey are scaling back production or moving investments elsewhere. Why? High energy costs, strict green regulations, and a growing disadvantage compared to the U.S. and China. So now the question stands: is this the end of Western liberal hegemony? Is social democracy in Europe beginning to collapse? Or is this simply the beginning of a new global order? Stay tuned. In the next video, we dive deeper into the rise of the multipolar world order, If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe to History Goat, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update on our latest content.